BingX, a trusted global crypto exchange. Trade spot, futures, or copy top traders easily. Sign up via the link or referral code to get 30 USDT instantly, plus up to 1,500 USDT in bonuses for verification, deposit, and trading.
Gaza faces the ominous prospect of being trapped in a dangerous state of perpetual unease. A precarious balance between conflict and a fragile semblance of peace. According to a high-ranking Qatari diplomat, this warning comes as concerns mount over a potential ceasefire that, while nominally in effect, could still see ongoing violence and loss of life. The diplomat, Majid al-Ansari, advisor to Qatar's prime minister and spokesperson for the foreign ministry, stressed the urgent need for swift action in establishing an international security force and a transitional administration. The ultimate goal of these measures, he emphasized, is to create the conditions necessary for a complete withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza. "We don't want to reach a situation of no war, no peace," al-Ansari stated, articulating a deep-seated fear that the region could become mired in a protracted state of limbo, devoid of genuine resolution and stability. The stark reality of the situation was underscored by recent events, as Israeli airstrikes on Tuesday resulted in the deaths of over 100 Palestinians, with a tragic toll of at least 66 women and children. This marked the deadliest day since the conflict began, a grim testament to the enduring violence. Israel maintained that these strikes were a direct response to an attack in Rafah city that claimed the life of a soldier involved in demolition operations. The ceasefire agreement itself outlined a vision for an international force to secure Gaza, a crucial step intended to mitigate the immediate risk of renewed hostilities and lay the groundwork for the demilitarization of Hamas and the eventual departure of Israeli forces, which currently maintain a significant presence, occupying more than half of the territory. Al-Ansari underscored the pivotal role of an international administration in fundamentally altering the trajectory of the conflict, stating that its establishment would shift the whole process from war to the day after. He elaborated in an interview with The Guardian that the rapid deployment of this international force, coupled with the formation of a new Palestinian administration, is paramount to transforming the current fragile pause into a more enduring peace. The international community, he urged, must actively engage in assessing the damage, initiating reconstruction efforts, and formally guaranteeing peace. This comprehensive approach, he argued, is essential for transitioning from a state of active warfare to one focused on rebuilding and recovery. The intricate 20-point plan underpinning the ceasefire, while providing a framework for Gaza's future, notably lacks concrete details regarding the mandate and composition of the proposed international force. Qatar and its regional allies advocate for United Nations backing, a prospect that the U.S. Secretary of State, while not explicitly named as Marco Rubio in the provided text, indicated is under consideration by Washington. "We're very hopeful that if we are able to get a Security Council resolution and a mandate for an administration and an international force in Gaza, that we would be able to stabilize the situation," al-Ansari expressed. Highlighting the potential for a unified international effort, he confirmed that many regional and global nations have expressed willingness to participate, but stressed that this commitment hinges on a clearly defined mandate for the force. The complex diplomatic choreography required to finalize the terms of such international missions typically unfolds over weeks or months, a timeframe Gaza may not be able to afford given the volatile nature of the ongoing ceasefire. Both sides are engaged in a constant exchange of accusations regarding alleged violations, placing the truce under daily strain. Al-Ansari acknowledged the significant hurdles that must be overcome before the initial phase of the agreement can be fully implemented. These challenges include the difficult and sensitive task of excavating and identifying the remains of hostages who have perished, as well as addressing the daily casualties among Palestinians resulting from the actions of IDF soldiers. The grim reality of the hostage situation persists, with the bodies of 11 individuals still unaccounted for in Gaza, following the recent return of the remains of Amram Cooper and Sahar Barouk. The engagement of the Trump administration is recognized as a critical determinant of the ceasefire's success, a fact underscored by the current dispatch of senior envoys, including the president's son-in-law Jared Kushner and Vice President J.D. Vance, to Israel. The only thing that has always tipped the scales in the favor of ceasefire was U.S. engagement. al-Ansari stated, reinforcing the significant influence of American diplomacy. He pointed to this as a consistent factor in all three agreements reached to halt fighting since October 7. The former president had lauded the deal he brokered as historically significant, despite earlier iterations having been on the negotiating table for over a year. Reports suggest that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had previously deferred a similar agreement in April 2024, reportedly to maintain the stability of his coalition government, which includes far-right factions vehemently opposed to concluding the war. The path to such an agreement has been fraught with near misses, leading to palpable frustration and exhaustion among the negotiators. Al-Ansari shared the immense pressure on Qatari negotiators, noting that the chief negotiator had not had more than 2 days off since October 7, and the intense workload had necessitated the hospitalization of colleagues. The strain reached an unprecedented peak in September when Israel launched missiles targeting a meeting of Hamas officials in Doha, who were convened to deliberate on the U.S. ceasefire proposal. The strikes resulted in the deaths of a Qatari citizen and 5 Hamas members, a development that caught Qatar by surprise. This occurred during a period when mediators believed progress was being made, with Qatar having informed both Israel and the U.S. about the upcoming Hamas deliberations and an expected response by Friday. Al-Ansari posited that while the missiles were ostensibly aimed at Hamas leadership, their timing strongly suggested a secondary objective: to undermine Qatar's diplomatic efforts on global conflicts. He described the attack as an attempt to push us out, not only out of these Gaza talks, but to push us out as an internationally trusted mediator. The incident occurred on a day when Qatar was actively engaged in over 10 mediation efforts concerning various global conflicts. The Israeli strike posed a significant threat to decades of diplomatic investment rooted in assurances of Doha's neutrality and safety as a venue for adversaries to convene. Al-Ansari recounted the visceral experience of hearing and feeling the missiles impact a residential area populated by embassies and international schools, alarmingly close to his daughter's university. The ground tremors rendered him momentarily unable to think beyond his daughter's safety. This was not an attack we could brush off and continue doing the work that we were doing, he affirmed. Qatar, with its nearly 2 decades of experience mediating between Israel and Hamas, unequivocally communicated to the United States that negotiations over Gaza would be suspended until it received serious assurances that its territories would never again be targeted by Israel. In the subsequent days, Qatar demonstrated its diplomatic leverage by successfully concluding the initial round of talks between Colombian factions and facilitating the release of an elderly British couple and an American citizen held captive by the Taliban. Subsequently, former President Trump, apparently motivated by a desire for a Nobel Peace Prize, exerted pressure on Netanyahu, compelling him to issue both private and public apologies to Qatar. Resumption of work on the ceasefire saw Qatari diplomats prioritize 3 core objectives as they guided the warring parties towards the 20-point plan that forms the basis of the current deal. These goals, as articulated by Al-Ansari, were, firstly, to end the war, stopping the bloodshed; secondly, to ensure that there is no annexation or occupation as a result of anything happening on the ground; and finally, to guarantee the prevention of Palestinian displacement from Gaza. He affirmed that all 3 of these critical objectives were successfully incorporated into the final document. However, even with former President Trump's efforts to ensure the ceasefire holds, the practical implementation of his broad vision for Gaza's future is anticipated to be a lengthy and arduous process. The current plan offers only the most rudimentary commitments towards Palestinian self-rule and sovereignty, aspirations that have been consistently and forcefully